When St. Paul brought the gospel to the city of Athens, he found a wonderful point of contact. All around the city were altars to Zeus, Athena, Hermes, Aphrodite, Ares, and the rest of the Greek gods. But in one Athenian temple, Paul found something mysterious, yet somehow familiar to him as a Jew. He saw an altar dedicated to the unknown God. So when Paul was given a chance to explain his new religion, he told the Athenians that he worshiped the unknown God. In my line of work, people sometimes ask me, so how do you know there is a God? And I always think, how do any of us know anything? Bear with me. I have to review just 2 minutes of philosophy. The father of modern philosophy, Immanuel Kant, divided reality into 2 categories. One category was everything we know, or at least in principle might someday know. The other category was the mystery. All the things that we do not know and will never know, because in principle they cannot be known. As a matter of logic, we can never know what unobserved butterflies are up to. As J. Krishnamurti said, the eye cannot see itself. Kant demonstrated 300 years ago that there is relatively little we can actually know, but the realm of the unknown and the unknowable is infinite. 20th century physicist Werner Heisenberg discovered that Kant was right even in physics. Some things just can't be known. Around that time, Martin Heidegger showed how what we know can actually block us from knowing other things that might be knowable. How our knowledge creates a kind of a box that we can never think completely outside of. He and Ludwig Wittgenstein both observed that we think in language, and that the very structure of language limits what we are capable of thinking. In short, the mystery is vastly larger than the little piece of reality that we can see, hear, touch, measure, think. Now, what does that have to do with God? Short answer, everything. Roman Catholic theologian Karl Rahner said, human knowledge is only a small island in a sea that has not been traveled. The question, Rahner said, is, which do we love more, the small island of our so-called knowledge or the sea of infinite mystery? Religion is our attitude to the sea. Protestant theologian Gordon Kaufman says that God begins where our capacity for knowledge ends. The knowable world rests on a foundation of deep mystery. It comes from deep mystery. And that's what Paul means when he says, in God we live and move and have our being. Until recently, we didn't know whether the universe had a beginning or not, but it was always something that could, in principle, be known. Today, we know that the Big Bang Theory is right. It's proven. That's how the universe began. But what was there before the universe? What was happening 5 minutes before the Big Bang? Who lit the fuse? That is beyond the reach of human knowledge. Side note, when the Big Bang Theory was proven, the greatest philosophical atheist of the 20th century, Anthony Flew, converted to believing in God. Well, we get clues about what the mystery is like from the things that we can know and experience. The Anglican poet T.S. Eliot called our religion hints and guesses. The creation gives us reasons to believe that the mystery is creative and generous, kind and merciful. We may be wrong, but spiritual masters through the ages and around the world have believed these good things, even though they cannot logically prove them. those who gaze in awe at the mystery, those who love it, call the mystery God. Agnostics take a different attitude, and intellectually they are absolutely right. God is not a thing that you can prove or disprove. He's not subject to that. They are intellectually right, but emotionally they are like a man who cannot, will not fall in love with a woman because he cannot be absolutely certain of what is in her heart. Agnostics cannot love the mystery because they don't know enough about it. They cannot love what they have not first mastered. Atheists are another matter still. I like atheists. They are good for us. They smash our idols. They take our too small ideas about God, the little gods we keep like genies in bottles to meet our needs, and they show us that they don't make sense. They show us that our too small ideas of God don't hold together. Atheists do us believers a good service by debunking idolatry. But most atheists, especially these days, are intellectually arrogant and small-minded. You can see it in their sarcastic, mean-spirited writing style. Atheists deny the existence of God because they can't find his footprints or get a picture of him at the Oscars. They deny God because God does not live in a hut on their little island of knowledge. God is the sea in which the island floats. God does not dwell inside the box of things we know. God is the air outside the box, extending forever into space. The problem with atheists is they worship the box, and the box also is too small. Now, Paul, as a good Jew, knew that God is mystery. That's why the God of Israel had no name and no image. You could not carve a statue of God. You could not say that God is this or that. In the Jerusalem temple, the Ark of the Covenant served as God's throne, but the throne was empty. A conquering general once marched into the Holy of Holies and came out contemptuously announcing there was nothing there. Nations who had a pantheon of little gods called the Jews atheists because they had no God with a name and a statue. What the other nations didn't get was that Jews were worshiping the unknown God. Our images of God are always too small. Rilke wrote, "We must not portray you in king's robes, you drifting mist that brought forth the morning." The greatest Catholic theologian, Thomas Aquinas, and the greatest Protestant theologian, Martin Luther, disagreed about everything else, but they both called God the Deus absconditus, the hidden God, because God doesn't fit inside the human mind. The human mind fits inside God. As St. Augustine said, if you understand it, it isn't God. That's why any religion peddling the answers is to be avoided at all cost. Such religions are mind killers and soul shrinkers. True religion stands in awe at the shore of oceanic mystery. We don't have all the answers. We have very few answers, but we have a warehouse of marvelous questions. Our doctrines are not platitudes to satisfy simple minds. They are puzzles and enigmas. A God who is three and one, a Savior who is fully human and fully divine, a God powerful enough to create the universe, but vulnerable enough to hang on a cross. Whatever we say about God is not to define God, to pin God down, but to make us shake our heads and know that we do not know. So what is the point of a religion that stands in awe rather than certainty. The point is that such a religion draws us outside ourselves, outside the walls of what we think we know, beyond the prison of our pride, into something larger, vastly larger than all the ideologies, all the self-help guides to fixing our lives, all the programs and platforms humankind can imagine. It leads us into wonder, inexhaustible wonder.